I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Haha!
We did it.
Another one.
We've survived it.
Successful.
I mean, I shouldn't say we survived it because this is still ongoing and anything can happen.
But, well, here's the thing, though. If you're really thinking about it, if someone out there is listening to us do this...
Oh, that's true. Then
they know we've made it.
That's how they know we've made it.
So, good job us on a great episode of Screen Snark. Thank you, everyone.
I am super excited for our guest, the incredible Kate Sánchez. Kate, thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really, really excited.
Kate has become one of my favorite people on the internet.
Aww.
She has taught me the ways of Taman? Is it Taman?
Taman,
BTS, all of my favorite himbos in the K-pop world. That alone is my favorite thing about you, and you also happen to love Mass Effect and video games and TV, movies, and anime. So glad that you're here. We're going to talk with you about But Why Though, your incredible website and community, the podcasts, literally everything you do, and I can't wait. Thank you again for being here.
I'm excited to talk about all the things, because if you follow me on Twitter, I'm either shit posting or talking about all of the things, sometimes both in the same tweet.
It's true.
Again, with the relatable content.
But before we get to all of that, of course, we are going to start, as we always do, by talking about the most recent things we've watched. And I, not breaking tradition, will continue to go first.
Boom.
Before I get into the main thing that I watched most recently, because I've actually been watching a bunch of stuff recently, I want to give a special shout out to Bo Burnham's new special, Inside, which I've been obsessed with.
Yes.
If you following me on Twitter at all I do is post the songs from it or screen caps from it.
Pain has never felt so good than when watching that stand up.
Right?
It was just so... It's us, though.
It is.
Like, it's just... I've never watched a thing that instantly was like, that is literally every single person in a way that I don't think we've ever gotten... For lack of a better term, hashtag relatable content.
Yeah.
I can't believe that this wasn't even meant to be this much of a callback so soon, but
And
here we go.
Also, as like podcasters, the anyway I made content.
Oh, yeah.
I just
It's literally every day for me as I post a new episode every day of something.
Done streaming for a few hours. Daddy made you some content.
And I've been obsessed with the songs, which came out on Spotify also this past week. I don't want to focus on this, though, just because I've talked about it a lot online. And also, I want to put more of a spotlight on the most recent thing I saw, because I don't talk about these things a lot on this show, and it's musicals. I like musicals. I'm not someone who obsessively listens to the soundtrack of all musicals. Certain ones that hit me in the right brain space. Like I've said famously on this show, Hamilton hit me at the right place, the right time, that I became obsessed with it. But the one I'm talking about is related. I've finally seen In the Heights. I'd never seen the musical. I've never seen it on Broadway. I didn't know about Lin-Manuel back then, but having, of course, seen and become obsessed with Hamilton, I was very excited for the movie version, which was coming out. And so that came out last week, I think, or the week before, and my spouse and I sat down to watch it together. Yes, Rachel.
Matt, that's what I was gonna bring. So I'm gonna just like put a pin in this before we begin and just spoil it. The thing I watched before that was Inside. So y'all buckle up because we're gonna talk about Inside instead.
Sweet.
So,
yeah, I was like, so I was gonna pick Inside or In the Heights, but I have an anime series to talk about that I'll bring to the table.
Sweet.
Nice.
Excellent. There we go. Diversifying. Teamwork. I love it. So my thing about In the Heights is, so I got to see Hamilton when it was at the Public right before it broke big. I know someone who does lighting design at the Public, and he was like, I know Matt loves hip hop. I know he's a big nerd. You have to come see this show. Just bring him. And so
Matt lives in America. This will be very valuable.
And so Sarah took me, I think we went for Valentine's Day, actually, which was incredibly thoughtful of my awesome spouse. And so we saw it, and I became obsessed. I got very lucky that I got to meet Lynn that night, and I got to meet Leslie Odom as well. And so, like, that was really cool. And so it stayed in my brain, and then it came out on disc and all this stuff. And Sarah at one point goes, well, you know In the Heights, right? If you love this so much. And I went, the who what? And so I've listened to the soundtrack, and I never got to see the live show, but when I saw the first trailer for this, I got so excited because I have just been such a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda's work, and also this cast. Like, from the minute they were announced, of course, I know Anthony Ramos from Hamilton, but, like, everybody else, too. Some folks who I hadn't even heard of that I'm always excited for new actors and actresses as well. And I loved it. It felt slow to me, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it takes its time, and there are a lot of non-singing moments that you get to kind of just stew in, which I appreciate. But I also haven't seen the live show, so I don't know how it compares to that. The emotional marks all hit me.
May I?
Yes.
The live show is longer. They had to cut a lot of songs for this runtime.
Oh, really?
Woof. Really.
Yeah,
Everyone had like
with Benny and Nina gets cut a lot, right?
Benny and Nina got two songs that were cut. Yeah. I think everyone in the stage musical has multiple ballads and opportunities for stuff, or like, you know, Kevin gets one. Everybody gets one because it's a musical, so like, it is an incredibly long piece. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot got changed.
But that said, I really enjoyed it. You know, also, like, so the listeners know this, but Kate doesn't. I've been watching The West Wing with my spouse. I've never seen it. And so we're in the second to last season, which has the incredible and very handsome Jimmy Smits, who I've been watching.
Jimmy Smits!
And so I've been watching him a lot. And of course, he's handsome as hell, and like no less handsome in this movie. And it was just very interesting to me to see him so young and now see him here, and also see him in his element so much differently than, of course, in The West Wing. And it was just, the whole cast was phenomenal. There was never a moment where I was bored. I think that, you know, I don't think the music resonated with me as much as Hamilton, but I think that's also because, like, Hamilton was, for the most part, punch for punch hip-hop. There was a little bit of R&B. There were a couple songs, but, like, for the most part, it was cover-to-cover hip-hop, whereas this was more a mix of hip-hop, R&B, and all sorts of different genres.
It was a musical, like, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the things I actually kicked myself because I had the opportunity to see In the Heights when it played here in Austin at the Bass Concert Hall, and I didn't. And so, but I had listened to the soundtrack. And when I listened to the soundtrack, you know, before the movie came out, and I listened to the soundtrack actually after I saw the first trailer, because I cried immediately when I saw that first trailer.
Same. Big same.
And I started listening to it, and it hit me, outside of West Side Story, really, there are no Latinos on Broadway at all, and certainly not in a situation where we are a traditional musical. Like, there are elements of this that make it different, but there are elements that make it different if a Puerto Rican man made a musical. But you know, like, and that's something that, like, touches me a whole bunch. I will say that there are moments that really grip me, but there are some songs that I forget too. Like, that is something that I will agree with, and I think it's just because they're not as much earwormy as especially some of the Hamilton ones.
It's you're right. Actually, that's the perfect way of explaining it, and I hadn't realized that when I saw it when I was watching it, but that makes way more sense. And like I have to go back to the cast. Like, first of all, Gregory Diaz the fourth, who plays Sonny, is such a ham the whole movie and is just so good.
So
good. Go watch Vampires versus the Bronx. Go do it.
Oh, is he in that?
He's in it.
Oh,
he is in it, and it is an all black and Latin and Afro Latin cast. It is so
awesome.
Good. It is Goonies and Lost Boys, but if it were kids in the Bronx.
Nice.
I love
and they
that.
use Blade as their reference to kill vampires, because that's how it would really be.
That's great.
So, yeah, if you loved him in that, go watch Vampires versus the Bronx.
Thank
will.
you.
I'm going to add that to my list. But, like, also, of course, I mentioned Jimmy Smits before, who I love, and then Olga. What's the last name? She plays Abuela, but I'm blanking on the actress's last name, but she is also great. It'll come to me at some point. The scene. So spoilers for In the
Medias.
Heights. Medias. There you go. Medias. Thank you. She was phenomenal, and Sarah's telling me like she's an old school legend in Broadway, and like her solo was touching and beautiful, and of course I cried. Like it's one of those. I think Kate, you said it best. It's a classic musical that feels like a classic musical, but in a place where we haven't really seen one, right? And talking about subject matter that we haven't really seen, and I think that's what made it really great. And of course, there's a post-credit scene with Lin-Manuel Miranda picking on his old buddy, which I really enjoy and I think is just kind of goofy and fun. Getting to see Lin-Manuel Miranda give himself essentially a cameo in his own musical as a separate character, I think is always fun, since, of course, he played the Anthony Ramos role, Uznavi. Also, I laughed for too long when Uznavi explains how he got his name.
Oh my gosh,
one of my favorite moments.
This is the thing that is sung in the musical. That entire bit
really?
is on the soundtrack. It's great.
That's amazing.
And I think too, like one of the things in my review, I gave it a 10 out of 10, and I do have some issues with this movie. Like one of the main ones being that there aren't enough Afro-Latinos in the cast. It's a big miss, especially for Washington Heights, and it's something that like my community, like, because I mean, for those listening who can't see me, Sánchez is a Spanish last name. Don't mean I'm brown, but I am brown. And like colorism is a giant issue in our community, and it comes from anti-indigenous sentiment as well as anti-blackness. And so it is one of those things where like when you see something like In the Heights, there are elements of it that needed more skin tone variation, especially because that is what's represented in Washington Heights in reality.
Right.
That said, I was happy that there were pretty much no white passing people in the cast at all. Like everybody, nobody would walk into a room and be assumed to be white, which I think is also really important in a Latino film, because we don't get that. Like they all, like that's just not what happens in Latin media, because again, colors and privileges, light skin, very tall, that kind of stuff. But what I really loved about this film and what hit me and why I gave it the rating that I did was because in the trailer, when I first saw the trailer, Abuela Claudia says it's the little details that we use to assert our dignity to prove that we're not invisible. And it's not the exact words, but like it's the little details. And for me watching it, it was those little details of pride. It was the condensed milk in the coffee. It was how people took their coffee. Because I can't tell you how many people like give me crap for not drinking coffee black. I'm like, but we don't. Like that's just, like that's not how our culture does it. There are small details that assert this film's dignity, that asserts the identities and the pride that you can have in yourself. And I haven't gotten to see a film like this that not only is like, oh yeah, have that pride, but also just joy. Like it's not some large drama production. It's joy. It is Latinx joy. It is embracing your community, embracing your people, and taking to that part. Like I have been singing Haz la Bandera like nonstop.
It's like I'm in college again, because like we were so into new and upcoming musicals, and In the Heights was the one that we were just like, even from the Midwest, we were just like a buzz about it. We're like, it's got like this modern aesthetic and like Latin influences. Like this is something that like I never would have dreamed of as someone growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood, thanks to like years of redlining, gentrification, and like literal race riots. So like it was so much to me. So like I've known Lin-Manuel for eons now, it feels like, because I've been so far away from college, and it was just like it was that same fresh air. Even this many years later, sitting on my couch watching this piece come to life, and know that it is like colorful and important, and how every white person musical is all about like, will they get together? Will they fall in love? And then anytime you enter into the equation like other humans, you know, of varying diversity, it's all of a sudden like now it has to be like this big dramatic piece where we're trying to say something. It's like, nah, people could just be like happy. Like, let's just do that. And let's have them get together and like be cool with it. And he stays at the store. That's rad.
And I think for me, it was one of those really so I'm Mexican American. I'm specifically Chicana, which means like my entire identity is formed by me being in the U.S. because I have no connections to Mexico. My grandma's Mexican and native. Texas used to be Mexico. Pretty sure my grandpa's also been here ever since. And my biological father was native. So it's one of those things where it's like I don't have a connection to any past land, but that idea that what if I did, like, I can go there, I can, like, it, and feeling disconnected. And as much as, like, Usnavi is really important, the person I felt the most with is Nina. Because for me, Jimmy Smits is my mom. Like, her dad is my mom. Like, my mom was, like, when I left my PhD program, my mom didn't speak to me for a month. Because she saw it as quitting, because I was dealing with pretty much the same stuff, you know, Nina was dealing with, but at a grad school level. And it was one of those things where my mom was like, you're quitting. We don't quit. Like, what does that say about us? And hearing him say it in the film, like, that hit me like a sack of bricks.
Yeah.
Because that type of, and I think, and not just, you know, minorities will feel this, but also like people from poor backgrounds, like there is that push on, if you can get out, then it's not just you. It's everybody you ever came into contact. It's everybody in your community, and you are the representative of that. And seeing that showcase in Nina and her father, it was beautiful. Like, it was, and it wasn't sad, and it wasn't tragic. It was just two generations talking to each other and coming to a point where they could both be happy. And that is something that I was really thankful for. And I've told my mom to watch it, and I can't wait for her to watch it, because I think she'll really get a kick out of it. But it was those small things. Like, I actually think I'm going to carry Jimmy Schmitz's you can take all the bruises, but don't get out of the ring with me, like, for the rest of my life.
That's a
if
good
I'm
one.
honest.
Yeah, totally. And I think that the relatability of the characters, on every level, there's a character that can and does portray a part of the human condition in one way or another throughout the entire film. And there were characters that I identified with later, too. Like even the salon girls at certain points, like when they're acting. And also, just to see one of my favorites, and now I have to find her name because it escapes me. But
Stephanie Beatriz?
That's the one who plays Rosa in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, I've loved her and her comedy for so long, but to get to see her play such a wildly different character from Rosa, and a character who's probably as flamboyant as she is in a way, like, because she is that kind of big personality, was so fun. But, like, all of the characters, I felt like I took a little bit from everybody. Like, or even Sonny when he's trying to smooth talk for Usnavi and stuff like that. Like, I've absolutely been Usnavi in that situation where, like, I'm like to my friend, like, stop. No, what do you, don't. Like, all of those really human moments. And it was funny. It was genuinely funny because it felt real. You know, it felt like you're just hanging out in the neighborhood with these folks. And I loved that. It was really great. Really great.
It's stunning, and I want everybody. I think everybody should watch it.
Yes.
Again, it's not without its critique, at least from my community perspective. That like, yo, Lin-Manuel, cast somebody darker than tan, please. Darker than medium dark. Like, let's get. Yeah. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. You can do it for other roles. You can do it here too, bud. But it's something that it's a film I'm gonna carry with me, and it's a film that I'm gonna go back and just feel joy, like just pure joy from.
I mean, also, the one last thing I'll say is the dance numbers, especially the pool dance number, is
so
just
good.
unbelievable.
It was taking me back to like
community pool,
like Follies, classic Ginger Rogers, White Christmas, like the thing where it's like the set piece is the dance numbers, like that sense of grandeur and scale, and like knowing that like people physically had to be in this space, like doing the things that they were doing. Just oh, my heart exploded.
Yeah.
Just my love of musicals and my love of musical on film just could not handle it.
And I will say, I think that's also why Asa La Bandera is like my favorite, or my favorite section, is because in the first part where they say Bandera Mexicana, Bandera Puerto Riqueña, like all of the dances that are done are specific to that culture because we're not the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is something that I really appreciated because when you see Latinos on film, it's like, oh, we're all one thing. But we're not. Like, a Mexican is always going to say that they're Mexican before they say that they're Latina. I mean, I say Chicana, but it's essentially the same thing. Like, I'm going to call myself that before I call myself Latina. Somebody who's Dominican will call themselves Dominican before they call themselves, Latinx. And to see that showcase, like, the dance for Mexicans is very different than the dances that Puerto Ricans do, and it's very different than what Dominicans do, and like all of those elements showcased. And to see the Brazilian flag also, like, those pieces come together to like assert that, like, yes, we all, like, it's weird because it's unifying, but at the same time it really showcases that we are, like, we're still different, and we're not monolithic in our cultures and our identities, and that's okay. So I really appreciated that.
I love that. Yeah. And also, I mean, I do have one minor complaint about the film, and it's Uznavi's goatee in the future, because I'm sorry, it just looked not good. It just looked
I
not
was
good.
even paying attention to that.
I don't know why
he
it
had a
drew me.
goatee.
It drew my eyes to it, and I don't know why. Because his natural facial hair, of course, looks so good throughout the movie, and then they cut to him with the clean cut thing, and it just looks weird to me. It's just such a stupid thing to nitpick over, but whatever reason, it drew my attention every time I saw it.
Yeah, I would say my one major nitpick is I did not necessarily love the framing device. I'm kind of against the ways that modern movie musicals are trying to like be less of a musical by like removing the element of like sometimes you just have a troubadour in the musical telling you the audience exactly everything you need to know, and it doesn't need to be like, oh, but he's telling it to some kids. Also, that mural was supposed to be of Abuela Claudia. Justice for Claudia. I didn't remember that till I was like going back and like re-experiencing the show by being like, what happened in the show again versus like the movie? And I was like, right, it was Abuela Claudia. That's what Graffiti Pete put on the wall, and that's what made Usnavi stay. Ugh. Framing devices. Don't be ashamed to be a musical. Ever. Just sing
you.
to us that a cat is not a dog. I will literally live for it.
I will say this gives me a lot of hope for West Side Story.
Yes.
And I will say with West Side Story's cast, they've already, from the cast list that they have also included a lot of Afro-Latinas specifically in a lot of the roles for the film, which makes me very, very happy. And I'm hoping that it just makes me real happy for it. Like, honestly, like,
same.
I can't wait to get it now. I was already excited because that film is formative and Rita Moreno is formative.
Sure.
But this makes me excited for that. And I think it also reminded me that I actually do really like musicals.
Yeah.
Musicals are great. When Tom Hooper isn't directing them, they're actually kind of awesome. Who knew? Who knew that you shouldn't just let actors sing their lyrics without the music on the day and then the orchestra will fill it in? It's almost like humans can't really keep time by themselves and also act. What are you doing, Tom Hooper? This is terrible.
I have yet to put myself through Tom Hooper's Cats, but I assume at some point I will.
It's got the same problems that Les Mis does, but it's shorter. I think.
I didn't hate Les Mis, but I also never seen the stage show. So.
Oh my gosh, I just wish that everyone could sing the notes they're supposed to sing instead of Tom Hooper physically torturing them by making them sit or lie down to sing.
Also, funnest of facts, there is nothing more pleasing to the ear than Jimmy Smith saying "Good morning, Usnavi," or singing
Good morning, Usnavi.
That's so good.
It's so
Buttery.
perfect. I love that man. I love him so much.
Me too.
Also, I understand why they did it, but I am very sad that they did have to cut Nina's mother from the musical because like Enough is a very good song. Nina's mom is really great.
I believe you. I'm hoping to at some point get to see the stage production someday. But yeah.
Just don't type in the Heights slime tutorial on YouTube. It will not work.
Okay, I won't.
It won't work. Okay. Let me tell you, it won't work.
Okay.
Don't.
I get it. All right. You all right? You good?
Don't
good?
you dare. Nothing will happen.
Also, everyone in this movie is hot, like pretty much from toe to tip. So hot.
100%.
Just all over.
Yeah.
Benny was my favorite, though.
Benny's good.
Benny.
Sorry. Anyway, that's enough of my thoughts on In the Heights.
Yeah. So Matt, if you had to sum up In the Heights in just 3 words, and you cannot use in or the or heights, what 3 words would you be picking there, friendo?
Hot, joyful, emotional.
Hot, joyful, emotional. Literally hot.
Literally hot.
Literally hot.
Literally hot. I lived during that blackout in New York, and I was familiar with how hot that got. Oh man.
Well, as someone with a power grid that isn't doing too well.
Yeah, I know.
I'm right on my way to In the Heights.
Oh no, please no. I don't wish that upon you at all. All right, well. Now, Rachel, even though we already know, what, pray tell, is the thing that you've brought to discuss on this episode?
First, let me just say, y'all should be watching The Bad Batch. It's great.
I still have to finish Clone Wars.
Rachel recommends The Bad Batch. Good stuff. Love a Star Wars. Not dealing with, like, Skywalkers or Palpatines, just, like... ex-military slowly getting radicalized and learning that their service in this war was kind of pointless and that they were disposable. It's almost like meaningful. Who knew? The Bad Batch. Check it out. We love it. I'm the Bo Burnham of podcasting because I'm going to make you feel sad before telling you how great inside. Bo Burnham's most recent comedy special, filmed entirely by Bo Burnham in isolation during the 2020 into 21 ... question mark to be continued isolation because of COVID-19, and it whips ass every second. It is the greatest.
And if by ass you mean my sense of self, yes.
Yes.
Exactly that.
Yes, but my entire identity thinking that I was just like, oh, not everyone feels the way that, other people feel the way I feel. Oh, wow. I've loved what Bo Burnham is writing musically, lyrically for ages. Just this idea of like reaching into the heart of what something can be and sort of finding the like meta within it, but without removing yourself from it. Yeah. You know, like, because people can be meta, but like they're detached meta, and like Bo Burnham's art is engaged meta. Like, he is commenting on the things that he is absolutely doing, and it's great, and it just gets deeper and deeper into those levels of just like, just because I announce that I'm a douchebag doesn't absolve me of the douchebag things that I've done or said. And it's just like, yeah, no, no one deserves forgiveness, even if we ask for it and we try everything to like mitigate any further harm. Like, yes, thank you. And then just how he's doing what I consider like filmic neo-futurism in certain pieces, where he is utilizing the space that he is in, not lying about being the space that he is in. He is who he is where he is, and he is utilizing that knowledge to take us to some of the like heights of comedy, like him lighting a tiny pumpkin candle and singing White Woman's Instagram. And then in that same song, just breaking down this person that we've kind of been giggling at for being like, quote unquote, basic or, you know, self-indulgent, that like she like uses her Instagram occasionally to write to her mother who passed away like a decade ago. And it just brings this like funny piece where we're all kind of giggling and like kind of like winking and nodding and making fun, and then it's the experience of looking at somebody's Instagram where you're going through and you're like, oh, this is dumb, and then you'll come to like a really cathartic and emotional piece, and it'll just change your opinion about them, and then 2 seconds later they're just like saying something stupid and you're just like, I hate you again. Like it's that's just the microcosm of what this piece is doing. And even in moments when you might believe that he is putting on the aesthetic of emotion and not actually like breaking down, because like we know enough about creating art, you know, making YouTube or podcasts or whatever, like we are self-curating all of the time. And like there's this moment where he's weeping and the camera slowly panning into itself, and there's a question of like, how many takes did you do on that, bud? You know, and like you don't know if that's actually like the experience, or if you're just like so detached from his emotional journey that when he is really crying, you are like still questioning its authenticity and also not caring if it is authentic or not, because it is in such good service to the piece that you can't even be like, that was fake and I hated it. And it was like, but the fake is the real of the internet.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was my TED Talk. Thank you so much for listening. I have so many thoughts, and I just keep thinking about Inside like constantly. Something will, like a lyric will pop in my head, the entire Sacco bit, and it's just like, no, I'm gone. I'm just reliving an entire years of experience through one white comic on the internet. I can't believe it.
It's funny because my husband got me into Bo Burnham, the way Bo Burnham was sold to me is that he's like millennial Mike Birbiglia who sings. Because I like my comics two ways. I like them to be assholes. I know that's not a popular take. Or I like them to be incredibly depressing. And so when I heard that this dude sang, I was like, I don't want this. No, I don't want this. And then my husband showed me, I don't remember which one it is. He showed me a couple of stand-ups that are available on Netflix. And I was like, oh, this is good. And then we sat down and we watched Inside. And there were moments where I was just like, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Because it hit me at a BoJack level.
Yes.
Like it hit me at that level in my core that I didn't know I could touch and I didn't know was there. And I mean, obviously, like, and put a content warning or whatever, like he does talk about like suicide and suicidal ideation and stuff like that. But there's this moment where he says, I would kill myself if it wasn't forever. What if it was just 18 months and then I came back? And I was like, why? And I looked at my husband looked at me and we were like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And we just like had that moment of like, oh my God, why is this hitting too hard right now? And why is this resonating? And I think what he does is like, I like the way that it's paced because you have those really salient moments that remind you about how dark it's gotten for you in this entire period. Yeah. And then he comes in with something that is like his sorry, I don't know if I can cuss.
Yes, you can cuss.
Oh yeah, you can totally cuss.
His
it's
Jeff
fine.
Bezos song.
Oh my God.
And like,
which is now in my head. Now that you've mentioned it, it's in my head again.
Drink blood like Jeff Bezos. And it's one of those things where he's like, there are ebbs and flows to it, and and I think that it's perfectly paced because, like, really, to like what you said, Rachel, is like he knows that this is about himself and it's about us, but then he also knows that he has to produce something about it. But every time he gets to the moment where it becomes a production, he pulls himself back. Yeah. And then there are those moments that break that wall where you're like, and I think specifically when he, like, everything cuts off and he's just like, I'm never going to finish this and I'm never going to finish this because if I finish this, it means it's done and I have nothing. Yeah. So I'm just talking to future Bo Burnham. And it was one of those moments like, okay, this could be a bit, but also Bo, I've been there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I loved it in ways that I didn't think that I would because there's just so much that doesn't always resonate with me, but everything here did. And also how it just kind of devolves into chaos at the end where like there's really no purpose or meaning in what's going on. No. And I'm just like, okay, this is exemplary. Oh, and I turned 30 this year, so
Oh.
hello.
My partner turned 30 this year as well. So like that.
I'm 2 years away from 40, and so I related on it for the next decade. Yeah. Like everything that you both have said, I agree. And also Rachel and I think just last episode talked about how the best comedy is just as likely to make you laugh as it is to cry. That's the best comedy. And like, it's funny too, because I had been wanting to watch this because good friend of future guest of the show, the incredible Brendan Groom of Pass the Controller, was going nuts about it. Was going nuts
Can't
about
wait
it.
to meet you.
He was going nuts about it on Twitter. And I was like, all right, I got to watch this. I like comedy. And I haven't seen a good comedy special in a while. And so I mentioned in passing to my partner, and she's like, oh, okay. And like, we're eating dinner while watching it, and I could watch the wheels turning around White Woman's Instagram where my spouse was starting to come around to it. Because at first, and the early bits are like, all right, what's happening? What is this? And
yeah,
but then,
Bo makes himself unapproachable in a way that I love.
If you look at Netflix's tweet with the song, a lot of white women were in fact mad about that song.
amazing. Good. Let them be mad.
Wow. Yeah, let them be mad. If they're mad about that, go cry.
But I could.
Bo Burnham would also say that.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
But I watched the wheel start to turn, and then once we hit the intermission, we just kind of looked at each other like you were talking about with your partner, Kate. I'm just like, what? And so then we watched the second half on the couch downstairs instead of sitting at the table. And like at the end, like towards the end, there were those moments because my spouse produces podcasts, and I of course produce and host a bunch of stuff, and we were just like, oh my god. Like oh my God. The moment for me that really got me. So the first moment was turning 30 because I'm close to 40. And so I felt that approaching decade. But then the one that really buried me was Eyes on Me. All Eyes on Me. Because it has the trappings of an emotionally rough song that I relate to, your emo, if you will. But like there was just like the pull of that song of how he sings, it's deep, how it sways, and then the whole middle bit where he's like, hey, how about a funny story? And essentially tells the story of how I was going to start doing things again, and then fuck you, said the world.
And then the funniest thing happened.
And that song is what really like pulled me in. But like I enjoyed the whole experience, but I was completely destroyed by it afterwards, and then wanted to watch it days later. And now, since the album has been on Spotify, I've listened to it over and over
constantly
and over again.
Yeah.
And like learning the songs. And like I have a friend who's a musician, my friend Robert, who I've already wrote him a threat of, you're going to learn turning 30, you're going to learn 30 on keyboard so I can rewrite the lyrics about turning 40 and we can perform it somewhere. You're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. Because like, it's just, it's what you said, Kate, like, especially as a creator, like you have this moment of you're in on the joke, but are you in on the joke? Like, and how far does it go? And, you know, even that opening line, you said before earlier, like we've quoted it many times, like Daddy made you some content, now open wide. It's like I post every 2 weeks, I post for maybe, I don't know, 9 of the 14 days I post new content because I've got a podcast almost every day or something else to share or a friend's thing to share. And like the burnout, and I know that you've talked about the burnout you've reached over the pandemic. I also have. And like, so all of that stuff hit me. And then the other, I'm inside too long. I'm emotional. Even if people are around, I feel alone. Like, it's wild how many levels that special had that I did not expect.
Yeah. I mean, even to say it like that, the I made content stuff really hit hard because, like, to be honest, my husband doesn't like it when I say, like, oh, I have to go do a podcast with somebody else, because he's just like, are we going to spend time together? Because my day is work, and then it's site work, which is usually watching something or writing a review, and then sometimes it's our podcast, and then other time, like, I have organized 6 panels in the past 2 weeks.
Oy.
And then he's like, oh, so you're taking on extra work to go do things. And so he'll be like, oh yeah, you made some content, right? I'm like,
yeah.
I like you, Bo Burnham. Thanks for bringing this to your life.
But if I don't keep working, then what am I? But then what am I for? Like,
exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I think that it was And I think also just being, because like obviously like Matt is his full-time job is running our site and
Right.
like, keeping But Why Though up, and so it is one of those things, and I don't know if I said his name before. Matt's my husband.
Yeah.
It is this piece where like when those sections were happening, especially Everything All the Time as well, because like we've had a deteriorating relationship with Twitter where I just don't want to talk to anybody on it ever, and I will just chill in Discord and talk to people there, because it is one of those things where like Bo Burnham was able to just capture like these little like small nuances and cracks in everything, and then you can kind of just nestle yourself in that crack and be like, okay,
All right,
I
I'm
live
here now.
here. This is
Yeah.
And-
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I was like right after I watched it, I went to Twitter because of course I went to Twitter.
Right.
Where else am I going to express my emotions and let people know that I'm having them?
Everything all the time.
Everything
A little
all the
bit
time.
all the time. Yeah, I was like, it's the Tag Yourself Bo Burnham Insight Edition.
Yeah.
I'm Sako because holy crap! Like as soon as Sako was like, it's genocide, and I was like, yes, this fucking guy gets it.
Yeah. I replied to that tweet with me as I'm the internet, but also I think I'm the guy. What the CD doesn't have that the video does. And by the way, if you're listening, you're thinking about checking out Inside, please watch it first.
Please do.
Please watch it first.
Yeah.
It's the music
Yeah.
is great.
Need the physical pieces with it to
Yeah.
make the to make it hit.
The music is great, and I'm a music nerd, so that's what really pulled me into this thing, is that how well the music works with it. But you do have to watch the whole thing. But the moment where he's trying to do a stand-up bit on the stool, and he's like, has anyone ever considered just once, about one thing, shutting the fuck up? Just shutting
Yep.
the fuck. Like, when he's doing that bit, I felt my brain going, oh, this is you, Matt. You don't know how to shut up. You have to put everything on Twitter. You don't know how to shut the
Yeah.
fuck up. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Great. This is just another thing that like I can see. And like for me, as someone who took on streaming a lot more over the pandemic, his streaming bit is so spot on and not making fun of
Yep.
it. It's not even
Yeah.
making fun of it. It's literally just, this is what a streamer is like on most streams. Thanking their subs, thanking the follows, commenting on the like it wasn't even funny because it was funny. It was funny because it was accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the continued like review of the
That's what I was
unpaid
gonna bring
intern.
up. That coming out, like we saw it so close to E3, and I put like I made a tweet where it was like E3 2021, and I put that picture.
Yeah.
Like it.
Oh man.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it hurt because I do streams and then I put those streams on YouTube as premieres. So I watch my streams again for reasons. And I was just like, I hate me so much. But like, if I don't make this like a premiere, I won't go back and like review my work and like take mental notes
Sure.
of like how to fix it. So it was just like, well, how do I make doing work content? Daddy made you some content open wide.
Yeah.
It's not even good.
Like,
it's not even good.
I did a panel for PAX that we like just recorded today, and they were asking about what game are you playing right now, and I was like, I hate answering this for people because I literally only have time to play the games that I have to review because I have taken a code from somebody, which means I have to make myself sit down and play it.
Yep.
And I've made you some content open wide because depression.
Yeah. I mean, and like, it's funny too how your brain tricks you into even what you consider work and not work, right? Like I am, of course, playing through the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I'm on Mass Effect 3. I'm almost done with my first playthrough of what I'm guessing will be very many playthroughs of Mass Effect. But like like every time I post a screenshot on Twitter or every time I post somewhere about, because I do a Mass Effect podcast, it's like my brain still wants to turn it into content, even though I'm very specifically playing it on my PS5 on the couch, trying not to do it. I find myself still wanting to do it, and I don't know how to fight that, or if I even want to fight it, because it's just so much how our brains are programmed to work.
Yeah. That is actually why I started reading smutty manga, because I can't review that. There's literally no place that I can go put that up right now, and nobody, like, I've tested it on Twitter. Nobody cares. So like that is my me time where I just get to read these like really problematic and tropey romances. For no reason other than brain goes good night. Like I read that at the end of the night every time because it's just like
for a
drop
thing we were taught not to have enjoyment of things without commodifying
Yep.
said thing. What a literally novel concept.
Oh dear.
Jesus. Rachel, any other thoughts on Inside? Too many.
Literally too many.
We barely talked about the music, it's literally slaps.
which is incredible because it is both lyrically dense, thematically complex, and earwormy as fuck. Like, I cannot believe how much we like mention certain titles and like that
The song pops
the
right
hook
back
comes
into your
in
head,
and
yeah.
it's just like, oh, I'm living there all over again. You know, it's all the things that I love. I can't believe we're talking about my two favorite musicals of possibly all time on one podcast
Right,
episode.
exactly.
Because this is
A musical. It has
an
to.
incredible musical because it is following the tenets of musical by existing when the emotion about something is too much that you cannot speak of.
Oh my
I
God,
would
the
say,
anxiety
like,
song when he just shifts into describing an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
When I tell you, it took me somewhere immediately because I've never had. I always talk about getting like it feels like I'm being punched in the heart is how I always described it. But the way he describes it and sings it, I'm just like, oh fuck, oh God.
The way I've always described it is you've been thrown into the deep end and you keep trying to reach the bottom and your feet can't touch the bottom, but you also can't reach the top. And so it's that like that middle space of like, crap, am I drowning? Like that, like that realization where your body knows there's no up and down. That's how I describe my anxiety attacks.
That's a good way to describe it. That's accurate.
Yeah.
Bo Burnham's
yeah,
is
mine
better, but
mine feels like it's just an entire cloud has just enveloped me and I cannot see or move or think past it. It's just like someone has just hit me with a really bad like anti-buff whammy in an RPG where it's just like I have been rendered inert by this lightning damage, I guess. The lightning being the electrical synapses in my brain malfunctioning. But yeah, no, it's weirdly so much of a time, but will be timeless because of its ability to record keep an emotional state of being.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think people are going to continually look back at this piece and be like, if you would really like to understand a lot of what it was like to be stuck inside, but also completely online. Because that's where we were. Like, we were all, like, physically encased in our meat sacks, which were physically encased in our homes, and our windows outside were this.
Yeah.
And I'm moving my arms to reference the monitor where Matt and our lovely guest are currently looking at me from inside of their homes. In case you didn't get it, listeners.
Yeah, but I mean, also what you were speaking about, like it being a musical, like I can't listen to 30 without doing the hand motion when he flicks the phone to do the light.
The butt phone.
The butt phone,
yeah.
because first of all, it's such a great effect. And then I have to, if I can, I do the dance at the end when stupid friends are having stupid children because it's just so memorable. It's just so, all of the movements are so specific.
You're right. This is also my favorite K-pop visual album. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep, there you go.
It's colorful. There are dance moves.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, that's...
Yeah, I also think too, like, at the end of it, with all of it, like, we were talking in our Discord chat about it, and somebody was like, yeah, I'm actually using this to judge my friends because they've just been showing it to all of their friends, and they've had a couple be like, was it like this for some people? And he's like, bitch, you went outside. I know you went outside. Yeah. It wasn't like this for you then, I guess. Yeah. Okay. I know what you did. I see
That's
it.
Good.
Ooh,
that's good. Thank you for that. I'm gonna put that back here in my brain.
Ooh, that's a test. That's great.
Oh, that's good. All right.
Can I just recommend something?
Please.
Before we get to my 3-word review, can I recommend that anytime we watch Bo Burnham's Inside, when Bo Burnham sings "Get your fucking hands up," No matter where you are,
Put your hands up.
put them up.
Yeah,
Put them up. I want you to. I think we all should. I got really embarrassed and I didn't while watching. And I wanted to so bad. And I was like, that would have felt really
should've.
magic.
I watched. I woke up at 4:00 Sunday and Monday for the BTS concert for Muster Suizu, and the second one, the first one, Jimin changes the words of one of the call-outs to say, "We're at your home, put your hands up." And then in the second one, he doesn't. And he says, "Put your hands up." And then you see this moment on his face. And then I felt that moment where it was like, oh, crap. It must suck for you so much right now because those are just screens in front of you.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I put my hands up because I'm going to listen to what Jimin says. But also, it was one of those, it reminded me of Bo Burnham because it was one of those where it was like, you're doing this call out and everybody's inside.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know the response.
Yeah.
You have to sort of like project it and imagine it outside of you.
Yeah.
You know, almost like recalling a time that is not current and is past and may return again, but who knows?
Yup. Oh, okay. All right.
Pain.
Okay.
Pain. Life is pain.
Life is pain.
Rachel, if you had to sum up Bo Burnham's Inside without using his name or the word inside, how, in just 3 words, would you review Bo Burnham's Inside?
This may be my most perfect 3-word review I will ever give. And I hope that just a little bit of Bo Burnham's genius has come to me in this moment. And I will say, that funny feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sums it up, y'all. There you go.
The listeners can't see, but when Rachel said that, me and Kate both just leaned in, like we've
I
been
have a
punched in the
recording.
stomach.
I may turn that into content.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well,
and after all that talk, I learned nothing.
I did love seeing on TikTok all the people using the sound bites and then commenting on the sound bites and how he would hate it, and then commenting on how they're commenting on it. Like, I loved that. Ouroboros on TikTok was a blast. But moving on from Inside, Kate.
Yes.
What hopefully joyous content that you brought
I was
through.
going to bring up Trece, which is a Filipino anime, but it's extremely dark and violent and gruesome. It's a detective noir, but supernatural, based all in Filipino mythology. And so I'm just going to say that so you can go watch it. It's
Okay.
6 or 8 episodes. I have a review up on the site. Gave it an 8 out of 10. It's really, really good storytelling, really, really beautiful animation when it's still, there are some animation jumpy issues where they may not have had the biggest budget, but you can stick with it for the story and support diverse content. But to turn this boat around, I'm just going to talk about The Wish Dragon. Which
I watched The Wish Dragon.
It's so good. It's a Netflix original film that they did with Sony Animation, which I am probably more excited for everything that Sony does than I am that Disney does. Sony also did The Mitchells vs. Machines and, of course, Spider-Verse. And The Wish Dragon is a pretty big departure from that. They kind of have a close to Pixar aesthetic, but what it is it is essentially taking the story of Aladdin, but putting it in its original context, which was in China, which a lot of people don't know. So you have a young college student, like early college student, named Din, whose best friend Lena left when they were young, and they were like really, really great friends, and she left and became essentially the princess, and that she ascended to like the upper class because her dad became really, really successful, and then he stayed in the lower class because his mom, like, he lived in a small community, his mom didn't make much money, like his room is in the living room, and when he gets his wish dragon, which is essentially a person who died and then was made a wish dragon to kind of like atone for their sins, his first wish is just to be rich for 24 hours so that he can go to her birthday party. And it's not about love, like it's about relationships and bonds, but not necessarily the romantic kinds, because it doesn't start off as like, I want to go win this girl. It starts off with, I miss my friend, I want my friend back. And then it evolves a little bit into something more, but the entire focus of it is how we connect to each other, how we connect to our family, and how we value what's important. But what I really appreciated was the fact that I don't like it when films are like, money doesn't make you happy. It's like, you're right, but also it makes it easier so that I can be happy.
Yeah.
And this one doesn't ignore that.
Yeah.
And,
It does the thing where it lays it on super thick. Like, aren't rich people so sad? In that way where it's like, aren't you glad you're not rich? And it's like, no, the opposite. I would like to not have to financially worry anymore.
Which they kind of like wrap in at the end where like you see him and his mom, like the ultimate thing is like they don't stay poor. Like he does actually choose to, like, his mom gets a restaurant, and like there is this choice at the end where like he gets to do something more and kind of ascend a little bit, but it's not ascending to the top of the rich spectrum. So that's really nice, and it's just really good, and the voice acting is really good. John Cho is the dragon, which is great.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, and it's really pretty, and it's just wholesome.
Yeah.
It's good content. Like, it's just good and happy and joyful and not inside.
Yeah. and the opposite of inside.
Yeah.
I would give it a note of pacing. I was a little less than excited with how long it took us to get to the wishes being a little bit more integral in the story. I understand, like, wanting to take our time and really, like, starting to, like, build in that feeling of distance, but I think we really handled it so efficiently in that first sequence of events where they're friends and they're children and she leaves, that I didn't need them to stay apart for much longer. And I kind of wanted that to be a little bit more of the conversation, you know, like, now he's in her life and he's lying, and he's kind of holding on to the lie because he keeps getting, like, too nervous and too scared about being rejected, which is such an interesting place to be in. Like, I respect this person, but, like, I don't know how to be worthy of them. You know, it's that self-fear and stuff. And I wish we could have lived in that a little bit more to you know, I just, yeah.
Suffering,
I just,
pain.
I would, the pain, suffering. I love my Peter Parker very sad.
Well, so, and I thought there was a lot of that, and I think for me, what hit most was like, I grew up extremely poor. Like, I mean, choosing which bill to pay for, and it was one of those where, like, for me, what I really appreciate about it was, like, in Aladdin, and like Disney's Aladdin is poor and he wants money, and that's it. And he knows that he wants money, and he has to learn about, you know, money not being great, but he gets money at the end. And in this one, it's the opposite. Like, Din is very assertive that, like, he doesn't need money. He doesn't, like, that's not, like, the dragon continually tells him, just ask for gold. Like, this is going to fix everything. And Din very much says, like, well, no, it's not. So he's coming from that perspective of, like, my family, my community, that means anything. And then for me, there was that pain because there's the realization that, like, no, it actually does mean something. And this person who I thought could respect me, and this person who I thought I could be truthful to, and this person who I see loves my family and loved her time with my family, is now gonna just leave me because I don't fit, like, where they fit in the cast. And I think that, like, I thought there was a lot of pain, like, in those pieces. I do think the pacing is a little bit off. Like, I think some of the wishes get shortened, and the last act is a little too fast for my taste. But I think I do really like that they have the perspective of that story coming from somebody, like, essentially the dragon knows that, or the dragon assumes that being rich and having power is what makes you happy. And Din is like, no, bud, it's family and friendship, and that's it. And they have to meet in the middle versus going to one of the extremes. And, like, I really appreciated that.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to put that and leave it with the. It's not all one or all the other. Yeah. Like, you have to find the balance. Like, just because you have to understand that you need a steady income in order to, like, meet your basic needs, it doesn't mean that you're selling out.
Yeah.
And also, if you're working really hard at something to provide for your family, abandoning that family to do it is the opposite of what you want to be doing. Like,
exactly.
Your sacrifice for your family doesn't mean anything if you're not there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And it's just pretty. It's party.
It's very pretty.
It's so
It's such a
beautiful.
gorgeous palette. Such a vibrant, like the lights, the brightness of like that billboard, the cuddly
And you have such like a
magenta.
shocking, like vibrant, like magenta and purple dragon that's furry against everything else. Like it's really good.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. It's been on my radar. I've seen the trailers, and I definitely want to watch it. I love those are the go-to like date night movies for me and my partner. Is if we don't want to feel pain, which sometimes we do, we'll watch a cute animated movie. And I've been hungering for another one, so I'm gonna put this one probably at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Well,
that makes me happy because I want more of these stories to get told, and
totally.
Sony's doing them, so get those views in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please watch Wish Dragon. Like, it doesn't cost you anything. You already have Netflix. You're stealing it from your mom. Just watch it.
We know you.
Jeez.
We know you. Just make sure that you go FaceTime with your mom also. Waste time FaceTiming with your mom.
I'm a FaceTime with my mom tonight. My mom cannot FaceTime, so that was the only song where I was like, I don't get this one.
I got it because we tried to FaceTime my mom once because my brother turned 21 during the pandemic, and she was like this,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, Mom, can you? And then I couldn't hear her. Like, we couldn't hear anything because she didn't turn on the speaker. So I saw her face, and everybody was mumbled, and so then she'd put the camera right up to my dad's face, and my dad would I'd just see my dad's ear because he's talking on like a normal phone, and
Yeah.
that's
I can relate to it because my mom does hold it here and cover the camera sometimes. But the whole, this is the most emotional conversation I've ever had with my dad. Me and my dad are close, so that bit doesn't hold up. But the rest of it, absolutely to a T. Well, before we move on, Kate, if you had to sum up Wish Dragon in just 3 words, and 2 of those 3 words couldn't be wish or dragon, how would you sum up this movie with a 3-word review?
vibrant, happy, and wholesome.
Love that. Vibrant, happy, wholesome. Love that. Excellent.
Delicious.
I am going to move us right along into the interview portion because, Kate, I'm so excited you're here. You run one of the most incredible websites on the internet. But Why Though is an incredible, not just website, but community. It's full of podcasting and articles and incredible people. I can say safely that I've been on a But Why Though podcast. I was on the debut episode of Massively Affected. Incredible Josh Silverman had me on that show. Tell me a little bit about the origins of But Why Though and, like, how it became, because I'm curious. Was it always going to be this giant community, or did you want to start? What? No. Like, how did it evolve? But like, where did it come from? Where did it start?
So I was in a PhD program at the time, they actually told my advisors told me that making a podcast was the worst idea, because in academia, popular academia is hated. Like, it is seen as like the worst thing. If you write a book that everybody can read, you're awful. And you're somehow doing less work than everybody else when that's not true. And I studied anthropology and popular culture, and ultimately how like the sociological effects of how you identify with certain things or what you see makes you identify certain people with certain tropes and stuff. Kind of that, essentially like taking tropes and stereotypes and applying them into real life. And that's what I did my work in. So like I read 315 comic books for my master's thesis. I was set to do really cool ethnographic studies where I went into communities and everything like that. Did a lot of cool stuff. It was really racist and really sexist. And
it's strange, Kate, that folks who would be really picky and giant babies about inclusion and accessibility of the things that they're writing just couldn't fathom having anyone who looks or behaves
my
funny.
department was so progressive, and that was the first time I learned that progressive performance is a whole other thing. Anyway, in the middle of that, I presented at the American Academy of Religion. It's a conference where you go in and you just you present papers, and I sat in on a panel on Luke Cage. And the presenters actually hadn't read Luke Cage. They had just watched a couple of episodes of the show, and when I asked them a lot of questions, they flailed around a lot, which was hilarious to me. But the guy in front of me ran a podcast network, and he was like, "Want to come guest on my podcast about Luke Cage? Because you obviously know things." And I was like, "Sure." Did that, and then I went to my husband, and I was like, "I want to start a podcast." And he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, we're going to do it right." Jump to after I left, started 2018. I wanted to do more because I was missing my podcast, But Why Though, which is where this all started. It's basically focused on taking one piece of pop culture and then dissecting it. How does it matter to society, culture, fandom, all of those things? What does it impact? What are the intersections? We do it in a pretty comedic way, but we all have teaching backgrounds, so that gives it a nice little spin. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to start writing again because I missed the research aspects and I missed analyzing media that I was taking in because it was a piece of my brain that I just couldn't turn off from grad school. And so my husband and I were like, well, I don't know if we can do this. Let's put out a call. And so we just threw up on Twitter from our podcast Twitter and we're like, hey, anybody want to write? Anybody interested in, in our community interested in like doing things, and we can talk about movies and we can, do stuff like that. And I don't even remember the first tweet, but we got quite a bit of people, like people who listened to our podcast, people that we had talked to, people in the community we had grown. And that was when we realized like, oh, okay, we can be this space for people, because one of the big things was I had tried freelancing a little bit to scratch that itch. But people don't look like me a lot, and it's really hard to find a space. And I am always of the old adage, and I know people don't like it when people say this sometimes, but like, if you don't have it, sometimes you do have to build it.
Yeah.
So I built it. And we created a space that's still growing, thankfully. But that's how we started. We were just... we started off volunteer. Luckily, like we've been lucky enough to grow enough to be able to compensate to a point. We're still trying to grow more, which is why you see me posting about Patreon all the time. But I never knew that it was going to be what it is. We got Discord partnership. We have over 500 people in our Discord.
Yeah.
And it actually is just really astonishing to me because for me, I was just this big old geek who decided to get a PhD in geek crap. And when I left, I mean, I have a regular day job in tech. Like, I probably work close to 70 hours some weeks just between, like, my day job and the work that I put into the site. But it means a lot because I've been able to interact with people. And for certain writers, I've been able to see them go from starting as a hobby with us to pitching at other sites to becoming members of critics organizations and like growing, and I've been able to be a piece of that, and I've been able to influence that, and I've been able to give a space for voices who like really aren't like are having a hard time other places. Like, our site covers a lot of indie comics, our site covers a lot of indie games, our site covers a whole bunch of international films. We have a writer in Mexico City. We have writers like across every sort of demographic you can think. And it's one of those things where like we didn't even have to try, which sounds weird, but it was like we built a space that we wanted to be inclusive, and we reached out to the people around us, and we were able to make it that way, and it's been able to stay that way, and I'm thankful for it. But yeah.
I am thankful for it too. I don't even remember how I connected with But Why Though. I think Ray Apollo had talked about being horny for manga on the internet, and then you talked about being horny for manga on the internet.
Like you do.
And that's how I found you. And so I joined the But Why Though Discord just because of that one thing, because people were being publicly horny on the internet. And then I discovered, what I love about the But Why Though community is that, like, whether you're active every day or you're active only when you can be, everyone treats it like a family. And like to the point now, well, because I'm so horny for himbos and the K-pop
Yes!
community.
One all
ho.
the time.
Every time you have anything about K-pop, even if you don't think I'll get a chance to listen to it, you're like, I'm tagging my crew. Like, and I've made that list, and it makes me feel good because I know when I check the Discord, I'm going to have a hot boy, a hot girl, or a hot whoever to look at, and it gives me life. But like the community is always talking and evolving and changing, and like I've been a Mass Effect nerd for a long time, but I only started talking Mass Effect on But Why Though recently because of the Legendary Edition. It turns out there's so many other folks, and like whenever I post that I'm excited about something, no one in that community goes, "This is dumb, you shouldn't like it." They either say nothing or they celebrate with me. So many other places I've been, it's like, and critique is fair, and of course if something is not good or problematic, I want to be told, but like if I like a dumb thing and I know it's a dumb thing, people don't swoop in and say, "That's a dumb thing, you shouldn't like it." They just let me like the dumb thing, and I appreciate that. There's a camaraderie I see in But Why Though that I just don't see in every other Discord or other community.
And that makes me really happy because I do think one of the things we try to do, we have a lot of discussions in here. Like I think the other day, it was I dropped a hot take that I didn't like about who they thought should be about who somebody thought should be Magneto, and then we started discussing how Jewishness is inherent to who he is as a character because of the survivals of the Holocaust. And then from that, it went into, well, what villains are good villains? Can you have villain apologetics? Oh no, that dude sucks. And Matt's like, why does that guy suck? I thought it was fine. And like we're able to have those constructive conversations. And I think it's one of the reasons why I've stopped actually having a lot of takes on Twitter other than just like my shit posts. Mm-hmm. Because I would rather have it in my Discord. Like I would rather get to talk it out and talk with other people. And like there's just an understanding where like what I really like that we did was when COVID started in 2020, Matt was like, we need a place to put this all. People are going through it. Like nobody needs to see this in general. Like we need to make sure people have a space that is safe for them to talk about this, but also keeps people who are just coming here to have happy times. They don't have to be hit with it. So we made the current events channel, and that especially in 2020 was a space where like a lot of us got to talk about what we were going through and talk about like really bad things that were happening. And I am thankful for that space. And then we've also been able to do community events where like we have a couple of folks in the UK who are completely detached from everything because the UK locked down faster than we did and had more intense lockdowns, and they were just completely sequestered in certain spots. And when we started the community events at our Discord, it wasn't because we wanted to grow our Discord. It was because we wanted to give people a space to connect to others. And so like we've cut back, and June is kind of our month to reevaluate how many we do, but it's something that we're going to keep doing because it has been that lifeline for a lot of people, and it's something I'm really proud of. And it really makes me feel good that you feel that way about us, because sometimes the takes get pretty hot. But it's nice to know that that's how you feel, because that's what we want. Like we're, regardless of any success we see, regardless of anything that we do, we have always been driven by community first. Yeah. And that's where we want to stay. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm using hyperbole when I say a lot of this stuff. And I think a lot of it comes from, I mean, obviously I see a kinship in you, Kate. I think that we have a lot in common, which is really fun to always discover on the internet, especially when it comes to thirst on the internet. Not people aren't thirsty enough on the internet publicly. Be thirsty. It's fine. But like let's talk about the podcast itself, But Why Though? Because I remember one of the first episodes I finally sat down and listened to was your episode on Tomb Raider, a franchise I also have loved for a long time. But what was interesting about your episode is it's not just, yes, girl power, right? Because a lot of Tomb Raider can just be that. And it was that to a degree, but for you, it was there were specific reasons why this character mattered, why the newer versions of the character to you don't matter as much, because... you know, to you, like, it was such an interesting conversation, a nuanced conversation about sexualization as a positive. It's not always positive, but with that character and what she represented, was so fascinating to me. And everyone on the podcast knows what they're talking about. And like you goof and make fun of each other and pick on each other. But there's still it's an intellectual discussion without bad mouthing, right? A lot of podcasts can devolve into naysaying or you're dumb or this is stupid or you're wrong. But like, and you admitted your own flaws with the things you like, but still put out why it's important to you. And I love that.
I'm going to call it empathetic intellectualism.
There you go.
I'm
Love
down
that.
with that. I'm definitely down with that.
And so, like, what I want to know about the podcast was that always the consideration for the structure? Because you're all educators and you're all obviously know a lot. But, like, what was the growth of the podcast like? And, like, was that always the mission statement?
Yeah, so that was always the mission statement because it was important to me. So my honors thesis for undergrad was actually about how fandom is religion and fulfills religious elements. And if you're listening, you don't know what that means.
Rachel's having an epiphany in real time.
It's this guy named Emil Durkheim. He developed functionalism, which is the idea that religion fulfills certain functions, and when other things fill those functions, that too can make it a sacred experience for those participating. So that drove me into my program in my PhD, where I was like, well, no, actually pop culture really shapes everything that we do. It's for some people, it's the first time they see a brown person. For some people, it's the first time they learn about X. Like, and those representations, whether good or bad, helps inform how somebody, one, perceives somebody else, but two, forms their own identity with what is presented. And that was the crux of all of my, like, study in academia. And so when I was building out the podcast, it was very much like, I want to talk about the things that matter, but also why they do. Like, I don't just want to step up on a soapbox and be like, this thing is important, end of discussion. I want to actually talk about it, and I want us all to bring our experiences. And one of the things that we do at the show is, like, the person, and it's changed, like, the first 17 episodes, my husband isn't even on it. It was somebody else. Those episodes are in the void. Nobody will ever listen to them again. They weren't that great. But we switched to the format where one person takes over the notes, and it is the person who is the subject matter expert in that thing. It doesn't mean that other people can't like it. It just means that you know the most, and therefore you will bring us through this history. And the rest of us work there to ask questions, give our opinions on it, or in some cases, especially in the anime episodes, like Matt always says, my husband was always like, I'm just here so I don't get fined, because he knows nothing about anime, doesn't care about anime, but he shows up and he gives the lens of somebody who doesn't know anything. And I come from an education background. My husband has a degree in biology, and he taught labs and intro classes for liberal arts students coming into sciences. And then our other podcast host is a high school level educator. And so for us, it's natural that we want to teach people and have somebody take something away from us. And when we hit that second iteration of the podcast, that's where we landed and that's where we've been. But I've always wanted people to listen and then understand, one, if they thought this thing was silly, oh, well, it actually does have impact. And two, if you're used to everybody telling you that this thing is silly, it does have impact. And three, I just wanted to talk about why Lara Croft's boobs aren't bad and y'all need to shut the hell up about it, which is also why I had
Ding. Ding.
Which is why I did the revisit episode.
Right.
But yeah.
Awesome. I'm curious with something like But Why Though and the podcast network and the other work that you do as well. Do you see an evolution? Like you talk about the community and growing it and all that, but do you see a clear path of evolution for the site or for the podcast in general? I mean, you have a whole podcast network now, like I mentioned, Massively Affected before, is part of the network. SDGC is part of the But Why Though family. Like, what do you see as like the future of this site?
Yeah, it's really hard for us to nail down the future. I mean, honestly, like the future for us is getting into a position where we can be competitive, not necessarily competitive like with other people, but we just want to be able to pay people like what they deserve. I mean, our community has been a labor of love since its inception, and I mean, there are many months where I pay it and I help supplement all of it. You know, we're an indie site, we're self-driven, and a lot of the times the way Google Ads work, it doesn't make up for a lot of the expenditures.
Right.
And so like our main trajectory is just trying to make sure that like we can cultivate a space where like our success is making sure that we can maintain the happiness of the people who work with us, especially our writers, who in some of which have been with us since the beginning.
Oh, wow.
And make sure that we continue to build a space that feels like a community and feels like a home for people. But so far is like how we hit those success marks. We did start a Let's Talk series. So every month, and next month we'll be doing 2. We're doing roundtables on Twitch, on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ButWhyThoughPC. Where we're diving deeper into topics. We did one on Mass Effect, was our very first one.
Yep.
Our second one is going to be tomorrow, June 16th, where we're going to be talking about queer storytelling in manga and anime for Pride Month. And then we have one on Fast and the Furious, and then one on translation in manga. They will be coming up in July. And what we're doing here is we just wanted to create a space where, one, we could do more video content because Daddy made some content.
Yeah.
Open wide.
But that's a space where like we have a community that wants it, and so it's kind of like, well, how do we do that while also making sure we're giving value? And that value for us is bringing together people from different backgrounds and really going in on the things that we love and continuing that mission statement that we started with the podcast, and maintaining, just creating an environment for people to talk and communicate and have those things. Like, and we've also been using Discord stages. Like we just did a talk with a roundtable with the directors from Powerhouse Animation. So we had directors from Sesmanos, Castlevania, and Kong and He-Man. And we got to talk to them, and they just like helped talk. They talked to people about getting into animation. They dived into like how they made like fight sequences and all that stuff. And
So cool.
Cool.
I don't know, like it's such a hard question to ask. Like our end goal is to like, I want to make enough money so I can pay people who do good work.
Right.
But like the future for us is really just doing what our community needs. And wherever that is, that's where we're going to push. Because we would not be here without the people who support us and without the people who engage with us and work with us. And I don't mean work as in like our writers and our podcasters to a lesser extent, but like the people who like just tell us like, hey, I showed up to your stream and I liked it. Or like, hey, I am in your Discord channel and it'd be cool if we did a movie night on this. Or like, I want to make sure that we're always cultivating a space where people feel safe, but also people feel enough security to ask stuff of us and work with us to grow and be better.
I love that. That's so awesome. It's just, the internet's a cesspool, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of everything all of the time.
It's a gift.
And it's a curse.
And a burden.
Yes. Well, if you ever want to do an educational talk on podcasting, I might know a producer who might want to be a part of it. Anyway, enough about me.
I have no expertise of which to speak except for my very passionate heart.
That's an expertise.
That's an expertise.
You're the heart of the
Well,
show. And the beauty.
am I?
And the beauty. Come on.
I'm the beast of this show. What are you talking about? Rawr! Capitalism is bad. Rawr! That's me.
Kate, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I've had so much fun.
Yeah,
this
thank
has been
you.
Great.
This was so hope providing after so much talk about the internet being just bad and terrible and hard to navigate, because who knew having character limits makes it very difficult to talk to people effectively and like see each other eye to eye when you're only doing text. Thank you. Yep. The internet, it's not so bad.
Except when it is.
Except almost constantly.
Before we wrap up the show and thank some folks, Kate, I would love to give you an opportunity to tell folks where they can find you on the internet if you want them to. Otherwise, where they can find all of the cool stuff that you do.
You can find me. I deeply apologize for anything you'll see on my timeline, but you can find me at OM with Randier. I talk a lot about titty, and I talk a lot about the importance of Latinx representation and like the socio-political climate of the United States, but also titty. And then you
Love
can
it, Titty.
find me.
Perfect. That's a perfect website to me.
Your
Thank you.
Your Tom Hiddleston titty tweets recently have given
Again,
me life.
this is
The tittles.
This
The
is
tittles.
my kind of content.
And then you should totally follow our site at BUTWHYTHOPC on everything. We're on Instagram and Twitter, lesser on Facebook, but Instagram and Twitter are two most like active platforms. And then get in on the Discord community, even if it's just to lurk and you just want to know that people also have like 3-hour conversations on whether like what heroes go down on their partners. Because that happened.
That did happen. Very
and
educational.
And some people even brought up like comic runs, and I was like,
What is
okay. But yeah, genuinely, we have a really great Discord community. It's discord.gg/BUTWHYTHO because we're partnered now, and I'm so happy. It's taken so long.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. I mean it when I say you're one of my favorite humans on the internet. So thank you for being here. But we do have a few people we would like to thank.
Yes, thank you first and foremost to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Rimble.
I would also like to thank the incredible Katie Bug who designed our incredible show art. We're adorable because of her.
Yeah, we wouldn't be without Katie Bug. Every day, it's it's our Dorian Gray situation.
Right. We don't age, but that podcast art does or something.
Just don't look too close. You'll start seeing my laugh lines and my crow's feet in that animation. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's just blood magic. Don't panic. And I would what a terrible way to thank the Certain Point of View podcast network for continuing to not fire us. So we'll see after that blood magic comment if that still stands.
I think we're okay at this point. We'll survive the something. I don't know. I don't even have words anymore.
You're 95% of the podcast, Matt. It's fine.
Shush. If you liked what you heard, if you're hearing this for the first time, if you could go to any podcast platform of your choice and give us a 5-star review. I like to think we're a 5-star podcast. We're like 3-star, 4-star humans, but
we're fine podcast.
We're fine.
It's fine.
But give us a rating and review. It helps us get featured, more folks to find the show. And of course, come to our Discord. We have the link on our website, certainpov.com. We also have a pretty cool community. In fact, just go right now and join But Why Though and Certain POV. Just do it right now.
Together.
At the same time.
And then tell us what we're doing wrong in comparison to But Why Though.
Yeah, so we can grow and learn.
So we can grow and learn and be better and I'll show up. and I'll come without content to our Discord.
Exactly. I think that's all of the pre-plugs. And before we wrap up the show completely, of course, Rachel has to ask our guest the final question.
I'm very excited to ask you this one, Kate. So you have such a vast knowledge of pop culture and storytelling, and it just in a way that I couldn't possibly fathom. So I simply must know, Kate, if you could choose one trope that is prominent in film and television to instantly and magically be true in your life, which trope would you choose?
God dang!
I know!
It's hard because I have a husband, so it can't be any of the romance ones, but that's been where I've been, so that's what comes to my head. It's hard. Whatever, make me a girl boss. I don't care. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go, girl boss.
Yes!
Yeah, let's go.
Oh my gosh, you're going to have the best speeches to give people about the validity of your existence. It's going to rip. The outfits. You're just your boho aesthetic. Are you kidding me? Give it.
Love it. Excellent. Well, Kate, again, thank you for joining us. We'll have to bring you back sometime to yell more about K-pop because we didn't talk nearly enough about it.
We did not. Not enough.
But
not nearly enough.
But if you guys just Google Wonho. Just Google.
Just Google him.
Just you'll thank me.
That's it.
You'll thank me. Trust
His
me.
YouTube channel is called Oh Ho Ho, and he has one where he does Ring Fit for 15 minutes, and it's like a compilation of him doing it, and it's hilarious because he gets real tired. And then there was one where he just did acrobatic yoga, and the teacher just keeps telling him, "Your thighs are too thick."
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
Because it's like the little like thingy that he has to hold on to. It ends up cutting off the circulation. It's like she's like, your thighs are too thick. We have to get you a bigger one.
Yeah. Oh no.
What a problem to have. All right, I'm gonna try.
That is, you know what? Thick thighs. That's some relatable content for me, and that's there it is.
There it is.
I did it. I quit this podcast. Goodbye.
No, you can't quit yet.
No,
We're not
I can't.
done.
You're right. Sorry, I did.
All right. Well,
I did all my callbacks.
so we can all go take a nap. I'm going to wrap up the show. I want to thank my incredible, beautiful, statuesque co-host, the incredible Rachel Quirky Shank.
I would like to thank my That Funny Feeling co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
You're just going to keep using your 3-word reviews as descriptors
Yeah,
for me.
because I can't think of any nicer words than the ones that you say to me without feeling disingenuous. So you know that I love you, and you're one of my favorite fucking humans on this planet for like all time. So like... You're that funny feeling this week.
I'm that funny feeling. And thank you, incredible listeners. We adore having you here. We will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Hey,
Oh, hey, Jeff.
what's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CertainPOV.com.